Grantstown Castle in Tipperary. Grantstown Castle is a six-storied fortified Irish tower house which was built over 500 years ago. The castle can be rented on a self-catering basis, or you can participate in a fully guided, comprehensive tour package which explores the history of Ireland from the Neolithic period through to the present day. Nearby, there are several award-winning Irish restaurants and also excellent pubs, some offering traditional music evening. The castle is suitable for a family or a group of friends. It is a destination in itself and is recognized as a national monument. Treat yourself to a memorable holiday of a lifetime.
Welcome to South Tipperary and to my home, Grantstown Castle. The castle was built in the late 1400s.
The ground floor was never intended for the use of the inhabitants and was used either for storage or for housing prized cattle overnight. Originally it would only have been one room, but during the restoration it was divided in two by a modern concrete block wall. The cannon is a British naval cannon and is over 200 years old.
The kitchen is modest but sufficient. I call this the pod, and it houses the downstairs WC and also a shower room. Behind the pod is the boiler room that heats the water for the underfloor heating. And Grantstown Castle. The castle was built in the late 1400s to the early Tudor period.
First floor bedroom. The first thing to notice in this room is the thickness of the walls. This window embrasure is 7 feet thick, over 2 meters. The furniture dates from the late 1600s through to the present day. The bed in this room, as in all double bedrooms, was made within the room itself. The wall hanging is copied from part of the Bayeux tapestry, commissioned by Bishop Odo of Bayeux, the half-brother of King William, who conquered England in 1066. This is known as the vaulted bedroom. The vault is a common feature of Irish castles. It is thought that they are a device to limit the spread of fire. It is en suite with a WC and wash basin. The Great Hall. This is the main living space inside the castle and rises over 2 stories to include the minstrel gallery.
Good. So the fireplace is what I call baronial in style. It is made from Irish limestone and has been beautifully worked by a stonemason. So this is the oldest cannonball made of stone, over 500 years old. This one is made of iron. Just hold that, it's heavy. one is made of bronze. So this tapestry is called The Parting of the Knights by Burne Jones. He was a member of the pre-Raphaelite movement in the 1800s. This painting is Italian. It was painted in around 1640 and is from the Lombardy region of Italy.
Is a relation of yours?
No, it isn't. I bought this painting at an auction in Dublin about 25 years ago, and I paid €1,500 for it.
There are two small rooms off the Great Hall. The first is the garderobe, or toilet, which is at the top of the latrine shaft. The other small room is an oubliette.
An oubliette is a small room where prisoners were held. Access to this oubliette is through this hatch. So up here is the Minstrels Gallery. It's called the Minstrels Gallery because the musicians were named minstrels 500 years ago. This is in fact the Minstrel Gallery. It's unusual in that it is four-sided. Minstrel is actually an old term for musician. So musician and actors and something called mummers would come to perform here for the owners. They would sing songs, recite poetry, play the harp, and be jolly.
Attic bedroom. This is an entirely new construction. The Great Hall originally would have been opened through to the roof. This roof has been constructed from Douglas fir. It is held together by square pegs in round holes. They are hammered in when dry and then take up the local moisture, expand, and become very difficult to remove.
This bathroom is on the 4th floor. This L-shaped room is highly unusual, as is the double window in the corner, which still has its original 15th century stone. What I have said in the commentary is that this is a shallow bath, so it's not a full depth bath. That's what I mean by that, which enabled it to come up the stairs and through the door. So this 500-year-old ceiling is highly unusual in its good state of preservation. It was constructed with mortar on a subfloor of timber, which was put up here to support the arch, then wicker work, then the mortar over the wicker work, then the individual stones, and then when all of the mortar had hardened, the substructure is taken away, and the twigs are left in the ceiling, and some of the original 500-year-old twigs are still seen within the mortar. Okay, so the door is held with what is called the hanging eye and the spudstone down there, and the keep is the original 500-year-old keep. Voila.
The castle sits right in the middle of the northern arm of the Golden Vale, and as such has unrivaled views of the entire countryside. To the south are the Galtee Mountains, with the tallest peak being Galtee Moor at over 3,000 feet. These are wonderful mountains for walking and hiking. To the south there are also the Knockmeal Down Mountains, the Comera Mountains, and around to the east, Slievenamon. To the north one can see the Devil's Bit, Schliefelen, and then in the far distance, Keeper Hill, the tallest peak of the silver mines. To the east, one can spy the Rock of Cashel, that famous monastic site.
I am coming to take over your castle. I order you to surrender. 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 Surrender.
I will teach you not to attack my castle. I will drop down these tennis balls through this matriculation and stop you in your tracks.
Oh, wonderful! Having come through the front door, we are now confronted by the murder hole. All Irish castles have murder holes to slow down the attackers. I've come to take your castle. I've come to take your castle.
The land surrounding the castle is some of the best land in Ireland and is used for dairy farming, cattle fattening, horse rearing and training. There are good motorway connections within 6 miles. Private tours by the owner include visits to some of Ireland's premier historic sites. The Rock of Cashel, a monastic site for over 1,000 years, with its round tower dating back to 1101. Cormac's Chapel, a unique Romanesque building. The cathedral itself. Nearby is Hoare Abbey. Cahir Castle is one of the most complete ancient castles in the country and a former stronghold of the Butler family and Earls of Ormond. It was built on the site of an ancient Irish fort. Nearby is the Swiss cottage, built for the owners of Cahir Castle as a cottage ornée. Athassel Abbey is just 4 miles away, one of the largest ruined monastic sites in Ireland.
Ferret, medieval walled town. The town was heavily fortified and completely surrounded by town walls. Ferret is at the centre of large horse breeding and training farms.
The majestic Kilkenny Castle was built by the greatest of all knights, William Marshal, 1st Earl of Pembroke. It was, until the 1930s, the principal residence of the Butler family. Birr Castle remains the home of the Earls of Ross and the Parsons family. The castle at Roscrea has its original castle keep known as the donjon and its protective surrounding walls. This lake, Loch Muscree, is in the middle of the Galtee Mountains. It was gouged out by a glacier in the last ice age. Local outdoor activities include horseback riding and trekking, walking in its many prepared paths in woods and by rivers, cycling on country roads and along the banks of the River Shore, fishing on one of the many local rivers, golf at the championship course in Dundram, kayaking on the River Shore, river cruises on the River Shannon from Killaloe, walking along the path of an abandoned railway. The seaside town of Dungarvan, which also has its own ancient castle to visit and also beautiful beaches nearby. The memories of your stay in the castle will remain with you forever.